Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services, including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. Is It Legal focuses on the legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices in Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
Tom, we always do a sequence every year or so on Just Do It, and it's just amazing to me how many people will listen to a neighbor or somebody who is unqualified. They say, just do something. It's going to solve all of your problems.
Yeah, and the problem is usually that person who's advising you is maybe squeak through, but they haven't experienced some of the problems and the risks that strategy may entail.
Well, and it's just so multitudes of strategy issues here. I warn clients when they come to the first meeting that I'm just going to hit the high points, and there's deliberately have to stay away from some of the getting into the weeds or getting into the details, because it'll obscure the big picture. People don't realize it takes multiple meetings as we work with people to sort of work them through the risk factors. So that first meeting, there is no just do answer. Many times it's an hour and a half, 2 hours just to get to a position where we can make an overview of what the decision process is going to look like.
Yeah, and inevitably our clients are doing paperwork to make sure they can deal with whatever comes down the pike, but there's not a lot of, in most situations, a lot of fancy stuff necessary.
All right, somebody's in the nursing home, though, so they come to see us. The first thing they're being told, there's nothing they can do.
Exactly. We have to get through and basically coach them through that myth, because that's the opposite of the reality.
It's a myth.
That's what it is.
A myth.
So
absolutely untrue.
And it takes a while to undo that, because they've been told this repeatedly. And the reality is it's hard for them to digest that really there's something I can do after all this information I've been given over the years.
And so they're told, well, just have the nursing home do it. There's just no reason to be involved in this thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, you'll often hear that and say the nursing home will do the Medicaid application for free, but meanwhile you just spent $100,000 or more unnecessarily in order to get to that point. So that's a $100,000 application fee, not zero.
And so nobody wants to engage a lawyer. I'm totally sympathetic to that. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that you have risk factors here. When you're looking at a $10,000 a month nursing home bill, and there might be something that you can do about it. It doesn't matter how complex it is. If that person's alive 6 months from now, you spent $60,000, which dwarfs what the attorney's fee would have been to have done something that might have eliminated that.
Exactly, and it's extremely rare for us not to be able to either protect everything or most of everything, and so it ends up having value to getting good advice and dealing with the circumstances rather than go through 10 grand a month while you think about, boy, I wish that I knew what to do here.
And actually what we sit with clients and talk to them about it is I help them try to create what I call a decision matrix. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is if you try to get into the weeds on how we're going to do this stuff, it doesn't help you make a good decision. Right. What helps you make a good decision is we calculate how much is it going to cost to execute the plan? Because sometimes there are tax issues associated with it, a number of different issues, attorney's fees and so forth. And then we also sit and say to the client, this is what it's going to take. Do you think your loved one's going to survive 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever that might work out? Mm-hmm. And if they come back and say it's going to take me a year to qualify them and that person's on hospice and they're going to pass in 3 months, we're not doing anything. But it's an informed decision to not do anything.
Right.
But you get somebody with dementia who could live 5 years and the break-even point is 6 months, well, you know, it's clear you need to move.
Exactly, and so everybody's different. I mean, we never encounter the same facts with the same information, and so it takes time and effort to work through those nuances.
Yeah, it's very interesting. As a client comes in the office, you know, people give these just-do answers as if there's a single answer. And when I start with every client, the thing I begin with is understanding, I don't know what the answer is going to be here. We're going to have to listen to everything that's going on. Every case is different so that we can then figure out whether or not engaging us makes any sense. And I often say, you know, we're not here to make a decision to engage us. We're here to figure out, you know, a decision process that will help you figure out whether it makes any sense.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the most fun because, you know, it's interesting and you get to lay out different scenarios and consequences, and then we get to a point in a strategy and then we can engage.
And so as we, you know, listen to people come through our office and that somebody has just told them just do something, we know that that is almost certainly a complete failure to understand the circumstances that we're dealing with, because I have yet to see a just do answer. Actually, I almost wish for it, because as I'm getting older, it'd be a heck of a lot simpler if there was a just do answer.
Yeah, and when you just do that, you're putting the cart before the horse as to what are we trying to achieve, what are we trying to avoid, and so on.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to a special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Jason Malott, Register of Wills, Washington County, Maryland. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Hi, Mike. Good to be with you.
Jason, in terms of our legal business, I can't think of a bigger industry built around avoiding a process called probate that is almost totally unnecessary.
I know, and folks come into our office very, they're anxious because they don't know what's going to face them, but the probate process in Maryland is very streamlined, and we basically walk folks through it, hold their hand the whole way through it, and it's a very easy process.
Yeah, the interesting thing, of course, is that avoiding probate, and whether it's the process or not, unfortunately, is not all of the decision making that has to be made. And so even though the process itself is relatively streamlined, it's important that families understand, both with their tax preparers and their lawyers, that there are decisions that have to be made that sometimes have nothing to do with probate but still have significant impact on the family.
That's right, and we always encourage folks to make sure they've talked with an attorney or a tax preparer prior to doing their estate planning, because there's a lot of, as you say, there's a lot of issues involved that may not come to play in probate.
Well, you and I always do a little tongue-in-cheek here. For an average Maryland family, everything to the husband and then to the children, what's the inheritance tax?
Zero.
Once again?
That would be zero.
Zero.
Nada.
Okay. All right, and they have less than currently $3 million. Same situation. What is the Maryland estate tax?
That would be nothing. Zero.
Zero. Nada.
Right.
None. Okay. And of course, the feds is over $5 million. So
Right.
if you have less than 3, then you have less than 5, which means there's no federal tax either.
That's exactly right.
And as I oftentimes say, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, how much money does the state want to invest in a process in which about 98% of the estates are collecting no revenue?
That's right. We have no reason to make things harder for people.
And yet people engage in some of the silliest strategies imaginable. You watch people every day say, we're going to take that family house and we're going to have it appraised low so we don't have to pay any taxes. Well, the fact of the matter is they wouldn't be paying any taxes anyway.
That's right. There's no inheritance tax for direct heirs, and as you say, that's probably 95 to 98% of our estates.
But in the meantime, you had it appraised low, so you sell it 4 months later and you make $40,000 more than the appraisal you stuck in there. You now have a capital gains tax that you would not have had you not engaged in these amateur strategies.
That's exactly right, and people run into that quite frequently.
And so you try to talk to people about, it's not, the process itself is not difficult. It's actually quite easy. But easy doesn't mean that there aren't important choices that have to be made.
That's right. And when you focus on probate and your estate, you need to make sure you have somebody that's trustworthy to be your personal representative. That is the #1 thing, and make sure that they know what the job entails. We have a lot of folks come in, we open the will, you're the personal representative. What does that mean? And there's a process depending on what assets you die with that personal representative is going to be responsible for.
And ironically, as we lawyers that do a lot of probate work in our office, we approach it more or less the same way you do. We're here to do whatever you need us to help you with. It's not a built-in process that has a huge fees involved with it. And most of the time people are shocked not only the fees in probate low, but the attorney's fees are not very high either.
That's right. And folks will come in and they'll say, they heard such and such did this, or their neighbor did that, and why don't they have to do that, or they have to do something different? That's because everybody dies with different assets, and there's a different situation for each probate.
And then oftentimes people think, well, if you avoid probate, then you obviously speed up the process. But you and I both know the slowest point in almost all estates is disposition of the house, and it makes no difference whether it's in probate or not.
That's right. That house is going to, whether it's sold in 3 months or 3 years, it's going to be the same situation.
And I would suggest that most of the states that you have hanging around for past the statutory minimum almost always involve houses, and it's not anybody's fault other than the families that it's taken that long.
That's exactly right. That's the majority of the reason they're open.
Now, one of the reasons I like probate, and people sometimes go, well, why would you like it? When I have family members that I know are going to squabble over relatively insignificant stuff, the litigation process in the orphans court, quick, simple, resolution, and 99% of the people accept the answer, and people don't realize going through probate reduces cost, not increases cost.
That's right. And if you come in today and you had a contested estate and we set a hearing, you would probably be in front of the orphans court within about 6 weeks.
And you don't need a lawyer necessarily.
That's correct, you don't.
There's no lawyers on the orphans court. They're perfectly content to go one-on-one with you to try to figure out what the answer is.
That's right. And if you don't like their decision, you can always take it to the circuit court.
But you don't want to be trapped in a circuit court process on a small case because it's very expensive.
Very expensive, and it's going to be a long process.
Jason, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thanks, Mike.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
Come on, Dad, let's go! We're gonna be late! Hurry!
Just one more bid on HurleyAuctions.com. If you haven't visited HurleyAuctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at HurleyAuctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Michael Paris, Community Relations Director, Greenfield Assisted Living. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You know, there's this perception when we deal with the public that all assisted living facilities are the same. But just like every car that you can buy, they're all different. They all have different strengths and weaknesses.
That is indeed true. Even within the different niches of assisted living, the level of care any individual community chooses to dispense is up to that particular community.
And we see an entire spectrum there. We see assisted living facilities that essentially don't deal with dementia, all the way to facilities who it's exclusively dementia.
Which the latter one is, which is what we do here at Greenfield Senior Living. We are 100% memory care.
All right, and so when you're dealing with a facility, it might be a beautiful facility, but really doesn't have any specific talent in memory care, you're at risk there that you're going to have a person in a beautiful facility but is not receiving the kind of stimulation and support that they might otherwise do better with.
That is possible. That's some of the benefits of our community that is wholly focused on dementia care is the staff that comes every day knows that the entire population is demented. There's no guessing, is the individual I'm interacting with at this moment someone who's demented or not.
And one of the things that I'm a big fan of is the fact is that people, when they begin dementia, oftentimes have the appearance of normalcy early on in the process, or significant periods of time during the course of the day in which they are functioning relatively highly, but it is a progressive disease, and over time they will lose capacity. Well, the fact is, I can't imagine anything more depressing than being in a facility that has all of the dementia patients together. You're high functioning, yet looking at people in the same environment with you that are not.
That certainly is a challenge if a community is a commingled community and they receive all levels of individuals, and through their end of life, the behaviors do change. And so that dynamic certainly does exist, and we're able to differentiate ourselves by an aging in place model.
All right, we're going to have Director Greg pull up some pictures here, but in the meantime, one of the things about your facility is it has 3 neighborhoods. What do you mean by that?
We have 3 distinct wings, if you will, to put it bluntly, is 3 distinct areas.
So they're segregated?
They are.
People do not go across those areas then?
Yeah, they're segregated and defined by the level of care an individual needs.
And so what does that mean?
So the folks who are the highest functioning with the least amount of care are largely in one neighborhood. Those with the middle care needs, middle functioning, would be in another, and then those who are in the advanced stages of their dementia would be in a third.
Of course, you have some grooming here.
We do. We have an on-site salon. We have Cecil that comes in every other Tuesday, and it's a really fun day when all the ladies are getting their hair done.
It's kind of funny about Cecil, great story, because his family actually was engaged as a patient at one time earlier.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
So in any event, of course, this is one of your favorite features of your facility. What's this?
This is one of 2 courtyards that we have. This one's rather large, completely fenced in and secure. It allows residents to go about freely when the weather's appropriate.
And so they can actually go outside. You know, they're not trapped in a building that's really, you know, this building was built for dementia. It was built to give them as much freedom as they can have within the context of their affliction.
That is the desire. We do allow 2 of the neighborhoods to be connected as well to give greater freedom of movement along with the courtyards.
All right, and then of course, you know, it's not like as if a person going to work there is, oh shucks, I'm in the dementia unit.
No, it's quite interesting. As you alluded to earlier, many of our residents, you're not aware that they are. Sometimes they're mistaken as staff or as just visitors.
But the point being is your staff knows that that's what they've chosen to do in life. It's not as if they, you know, one day I'm in the dementia unit, another day I'm with the regular population.
Yeah, having been in it myself, I think you have to have a passion for it. There's a distinct desire, a willingness, a temperament, level of patience that must come to work with that particular demographic.
And as I oftentimes tell people, you know, you can look at everything. You can look at beautiful pictures. You can look at, you know, all types of activity lists and everything else. But the first thing I look at whenever I go in any facility is the staff smiling.
Mm-hmm. Are they interacting? Are they smiling? Are they laughing? Is it apparent that they enjoy where they are and what they're doing?
Because if in fact you have a person who is not a happy camper, I just can't imagine how that person can be consistently a good care provider.
That is correct. I agree with that completely, and that would apply in any situation.
All right, so you have 3 neighborhoods, and as you say, you know, you kind of shift the care needs. With the higher functioning people, it's more about keeping them engaged. With the lower functioning people, it's more about care.
That is correct. So we do have a full-time activities director. That is largely her office is within the neighborhood where the highest functionings are, but she does make sure the activities are throughout the community.
So where are you located?
We are at 310 Cameo Drive, just off of Eastern Boulevard here in Hagerstown.
And I do consider Greenfield to be the model for what most people should be looking at, and so we encourage people, and you tolerate this even if they're 30 miles away, to come visit.
I do. I enjoy meeting with the families to the extent that it gives them a benchmark for what really matters and what's important.
Mike, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Thanks for having us.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation has helped create signs of community strength for more than 30 years. Scholarships assist with post-secondary education, and grants support programs throughout Frederick County. Making a big impact. Because of generous donors like you. Add your sign of community strength by creating a fund that supports the causes you care about.
Albright, Crumbacher, Malott, Eitel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services, including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Christian Wright, President of Wright, Gardner Insurance. Welcome to the show, Christian.
Thank you, Michael.
Christian, we did a little segment last week, and we do segments in the legal all the time in which we talk about people say, just do something. What's your experience with just do something?
As we said before, I mean, it's only good in buying sneakers, Michael. Just do it, right? Like Nike said. But the fact of the matter is in insurance, no, it's not. You can't just do it. You can't just buy an insurance policy. It's not a cookie cutter approach. We've talked about that a lot. So as we talk today, you know, there are reasons why you need to speak to an agent.
And unfortunately, the computer-generated internet, phone call sort of stuff, these people have no idea what your house actually looks like. You know, they're running off of a computer program that suggests what the market value of the house is in many instances, or perhaps the square footage of the house, but it does not address what the house actually looks like.
Exactly, and many times we talk about reconstruction cost per square foot, and I just want your viewers to understand this. We see a lot of the computer companies or people that are selling online, you know, they have an average construction cost. Well, average is great, you know, if you're you know, want to do the bell curve, but when you're talking about your own property, it's your property. It is not average. So number one, you want to make sure that reconstruction cost is actually what it is in this environment and where it is that you live. But secondly, it reflects the actual construction type and quality of your home. Again, horsehair plaster versus drywall. There's a huge difference between that.
Well, you just see it like in floor joists, for instance. You know, the floor joists of a 40-year-old house is oftentimes, you know, 2 by 12 on 14-inch centers. And today, of course, you see stuff that's very insubstantial.
Right. And it's not necessarily the quality is different, except it's a different type of construction material. And around here, we have a lot of historically significant homes. So, you know, the wider board plank floors, that's what you go back into that home. That's what you want back. And if you're not careful, you may find yourself getting those smaller wood planks or pergo or things like that.
Well, we have some other issues here. You know, you bought that wonderful starter home, Cape Cod, which kind of classically does not finish the bedrooms on the second floor.
Right. So what you do is you start, you know, you hire your brother-in-law and you want to renovate the home, and you do that over a period of time. And as we've talked before, guess what? You've now changed the quality of the home.
And the cost of reconstruction would be substantially higher than what you previously disclosed to the insurance company, which was assuming only a finished first floor, unfinished second floor.
Yes, and many times they may, if they have a little bit of because we hear this before from clients saying, well, I have inflation coverage to cost. Okay, well, that's fine, but it's a small percentage. And that's just a cost to cover, say, the cost of wood now versus when it was 10, 20 years ago. But in this case, you've added more livable space, so the whole value of the home is much greater to construct.
Well, you had that basement when you bought it. It was unfinished, but you had roughed-in plumbing and everything else for it. Now you finished it.
So all of those finishings, all of those furnishings, you need to make sure that your insurance policy covers those items.
Well, we classically see something else. You built the house originally with an attached garage right off the kitchen. Perfect place for a family room.
Exactly.
And then what happens?
Exactly, and then you change it, and you change the structure of the home. And the other thing to be careful, and I know we're leading to this, is outbuildings on homeowners' policies. There may be a small amount of coverage for those outbuildings, but when you also take a detached structure and attach it, and now you make it part of the home, you've increased the value of the home. It has nothing to do with those out structures.
Well, of course, out structure buildings are really pretty darn cheap until you start putting heating and plumbing and electric in them, and the next thing you know, they get pretty expensive.
Right, right. So you've now made that outbuilding more of part of the home. So again, you simply need to speak with your insurance agent and say, you know what, we did make this change, and I wonder, do I have enough coverage? And they should be able to answer that question.
And of course, the problem is that there's not a great probability of your house burning down in excess of 1 in 1,000. But if you're the person that it happens to, and you don't have that cover appropriate, then you've really got a heck of a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And not only do you have a heck of a problem, but you're really going to be upset when you find out it would not have cost a lot in premium dollars to increase the value of your home to cover that loss.
And so is that what we're not interested in giving the insurance company more money. I just tell every day, what I want to make sure of is that I'm getting the benefit of the coverage I'm intending to purchase.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're in the business to do, is to be there when someone has a loss and cover that loss so that they can have what they lost back. And again, the premium dollars for increasing your home is so insignificant.
Christian, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Absolutely, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.